Okay.
remedy, alam naman po ninyo bilang abogado na tama po yung sinasabi ni Congressman Ako, pwede po tayong mag-file ng relief sa
Okay,
court.
sige sir. Tinutulungan ko lang kayo sir, kasi napapahiya ang Pilipinas. Ganito ba ang House of Representatives? Tinutulungan ko lang kayo.
Maraming salamat po, Madam Vice President.
With all due respect,
Yes,
Mr. Chair,
Congressman
I move that we
Deputy
strike
Speaker
out. Yeah, I move that we
Suarez.
strike out that last comment said about the House of Representatives. I don't think that is warranted. Neither is it fair to make statements such as that. So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
may
Congressman
we
Dan
remind all
Fernandez.
the resource persons to address the chairman kasi nakakawala po ng respeto sa committee na to kung hindi po natin i-address ang chairman. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We will now continue to the next item in our agenda. We will now proceed to the interpellation proper. The first to interpolate is the Honorable Congressman Ako.
Hindi naman nag-ano. Siya ako, gusto nilang pasalita eh. Kasi siya lang ang abogado yata dyan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I ask Mr. Edward Farda? Mr. Farda, you were the special dispersing officer during the period when Vice President Sara Duterte was the Secretary of DepEd.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Edward Parda, you recognize.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I confirm.
Thank you. Would you also confirm the 3 land bank checks, each amounting to 37.5 million, were issued to you as payee and were encashed by you? Would you confirm that?
Mr. Parda, you are recognized.
Your Honor, I confirm.
Thank you. And would you also confirm that you certified the correctness of the liquidation reports on the use of the DepEd confidential funds and in fact issued the corresponding certification? Would you confirm that?
Mr. Chair, pwede pong paulit lang po ng question regarding do sa issue ng certification.
Congressman Ako, please continue. Please repeat.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Farda, can you, did you certify to the correctness of the liquidation reports on the use of the DepEd confidential funds and in fact issued the corresponding certification?
Mr. Chair, wala kaming kakampi dito, walang maka-point of order para sa amin. How can you ask a resource person without
Madam
giving him
Vice-
copies? Without giving him
Mr.
copies?
Chair, point of
Madam
order,
Vice
Mr. Chair.
President, please wait to be recognized.
Give him copies.
Point of order. What's the point of order of the Honorable
Yes,
Astro?
Mr. Chair, Representative Akop is asking our resource person, why is it that the Vice President is batting?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
the point
No,
of order
hindi
is
kasi
wala
dapat
kami
ganon.
kakampi dito, ma'am.
Pero dapat
Walang
pakinggan
One
natin.
minute to just declare by the chair.
Well, point of order.
Grabe, no? Basta-basta lang sumasama. Walang kakampi. Hindi naman sila binubuli eh. Grabe, naghahanap ng kakampi. Palaban si Castro.
Ala, sige!
Wala daw siyang kakampi. Ayan o,
evidence? Yes, sir. But for inventory, yes, sir. But wala kayong proof of evidence. Wala ba? Therefore, you cannot support the lie. Hindi pwede i-hear. Hindi pwede i-hear. You are not the chair. I'm talking to the chair. You allow me to talk. You are not the chair. Ganun support is not here.
Sino yun?
Umabot siya. Pinipili niya yung ano niya eh.
Hindi kami nakapoint of order, Mr. Chair. Wala kami nakapoint.
Yung kakampi ang sinasabi niya. Sabi-sabi niya, yan ang sabi niya.
Binabastos na kayo.
Kaya mo, napakadali. Ito nag-alap ka kakampi. Pagtakin mo ang sarili mo ha. Ayaw nang pakisip yung ano eh.
Session resumes. Please continue, Congressman Ako.
Session resumes. Please continue, Congressman Ako.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I proceed, I would like to ask COA. COA, would you agree that three land bank checks, each amounting to 37.5 million, were issued to Mr. Edward Farda as payee?
Attorney Camora, you are recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And did Mr. Edward Farda certify to the correctness of the liquidation reports on the use of the debt and confidential funds, and in fact issued the corresponding certification?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. And Mr. Fajarda and Madam Acosta also prepared the corresponding accomplishment reports for the use of the debt and confidential funds. Would that be correct?
Mr. Fajarda, yes, Mr. Chair.
Could you please repeat your answer, Madam?
For Mr. Fajarda for DepEd, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Now, may I know, Mr. Edward Farda, si Miss Sunshine po ay asawa po ninyo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And Miss Sunshine Farda ay nagtatrabaho rin doon sa office ng Vice President.
During DepEd po kasama po siya.
Yes, thank you. Now, Mr. Chair, para lang ma-recall po natin, si Miss Sunshine ang pinangalanan ng ating mga resource persons natin nung mga nakaraang hearing na nag-abot ng payola money sa mga empleyado ng DepEd at sinasabi niya na ito ay galing kay Vice President Sara. Bagay na bagay sa kanya ang kanyang pangalan. Talagang sunshine siya dahil paano ba naman hindi iilaw ang mukha mo pag naabutan ka ng pera? Meanwhile, si Mr. Farda naman ang pinapangalan nung nakaraang hearing na nung una ay nagproproseso ng payola money through land bank payroll accounts ng field personnel, pero due to supposed security reasons, hiningi niya ang personal ATM account numbers para doon na lang ipapadala ang payola ng field personnel, effectively bypassing the official documentation of all the transactions. In short, Mr. Farda, kayong mag-asawa ay nagtatrabaho para kay Vice President Sara. Tama po ba?
Mr. Edward Fajarda.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. kayo ni Miss Sunshine ay galing sa Davao. Tama rin po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bago kayo nagtrabaho under DepEd with Vice President Sara as the Secretary, si Miss Sunshine ay nagtrabaho for VP Sara nung siya ay mayor ng Davao City. Tama po?
Mr. Parda?
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, Mr. Farda, lumipat kayo ng Maynila to serve under the office of the Vice President and in DepEd. Tama rin po ba?
Your Honor, yung po kasing asawa ko nasa Manila, so kung ako po ay nasa Davao, so I decided na mag-apply po ako sa DepEd, kaya nagkasama po kami.
Noong si Vice President Sara ay nakabase po sa Davao as the City Vice Mayor, hindi po kayo part ng kanyang staff. Tama rin po ba?
Tama po, Your Honor.
In short, bago kayo naging SDO or Special Disbursing Officer ng DepEd, wala po kayong involvement kay Vice President Sara.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct. Dahil sa inyong asawa, si Miss Sunshine, kayo po ay nakilala ni Vice President Sara. Tama rin po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sa makatuwid, tama rin po ba na ang pagiging Special Disbursing Officer ninyo ay ang first job nyo kay Vice President?
Your Honor, Executive Assistant po ako bago po ako naging SDO.
So, hindi ito ang first time na trabaho po ninyo kay Vice President?
Executive Assistant.
Yeah. Ang SDO appointment ang SDO ay isang appointment by the head of office. Would you agree with that?
I believe po trust and confidence po.
Oh, pero nag-appoint yung head of office. Thank you. In other words, pinili po kayo ni Vice President na maging Special Disbursing Officer.
By trust and confidence po.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Chair, as we can see, isa lang ang credential ni Mr. Farda upang siya ay piliin ni Vice President Sara para maging SDO. Ito ay dahil siya ay asawa ni Miss Sunshine. Alam naman natin ang posisyon na SDO requires trust dahil malaki ang funds na involved dito. Sinabi na rin ni Mr. Farda yun. For the case of DepEd, kay Mr. Farda, unang ibinigay ang confidential funds na umaabot ng mahigit 100 milyon. Mr. Farda, are you a regular employee within the meaning of our civil service?
Mr. Chair, Executive Assistant po is also appointed po ng Head of the Office of the agency, considered po as a regular employee.
Considered as a regular employee and therefore covered po ng civil service rules. Would you agree?
Mr. Chair, hindi po ako masyadong maalam sa rules po ng civil service. So, can I ask someone?
Kasi if you're a regular employee under our civil service rules, the fact that you're appointed in the DepEd as co-terminus with the Vice President and then Secretary of Education, are you trying to tell this committee that a co-terminus employee would be a regular employee within the meaning of our civil service rules? And if no naman, I think you would also be aware that under a joint circular, a special disbursing officer must be a regular employee.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Now the question is, are you or do you consider yourself a regular employee despite your being a coterminous employee?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you are a regular employee. You consider yourself such. Okay. But as a coterminous employee, you serve at the pleasure of your principal. Tama rin.
Yes, Your Honor.
The principal is the vice president.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
she can remove you from office at any point in time. Tama rin.
Opo, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, at the appropriate time, I wish to explore legislation on this matter because an SDO cannot be a coterminous employee. We have to remember that confidential funds, when granted to a civilian agency, is related to the functions of the agency itself. As such, the person handling it must be a career employee, preferably of that agency, so that we are certain where loyalty lies. Not just a coterminous employee where incentives are aligned towards ensuring that the principal is pleased with his or her performance. Do we have a representative of the Bureau of Treasury, Mr. Chair?
Comsec?
Your Honor, Bureau of Treasury was informed belatedly, but they will try their best to appear today, Your Honor.
So they're not present today.
Not present today, Your Honor.
Kasi, Mr. Chair, ang tatanungin ko po sana is tungkol po dun sa fidelity band. And the representative of the Bureau of Treasury is the appropriate or proper person to explain to us yung fidelity band vis-a-vis the accountable officer.
Your
Congressman
Honor.
Nakop, I think the representative of Bureau of Treasury is present.
May I please recognize Attorney Jericho Cadorna, OIC for the Complaints and Investigation Division of the Bureau of Treasury, Your Honor.
Ay, meron.
Nakapag-oath na po ba siya, Comsec?
Previously, in the previous hearings, Your Honor, he has already taken his oath.
Treasury daw,
Okay.
yung hinahanap, yung...
Please take your seat, Attorney Cardona. Please proceed, Congressman Nakop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney, bago i-discuss po natin yung fidelity band, maaari po ba ninyong explain sa amin o sa committee na ito at saka mga nandito ngayong araw na ito, ano ang accountable officer at sino po ang mga pwedeng maging accountable officers?
Good afternoon, Your Honor, and to the Honorable Committee. Your Honor, to answer the question of Your Honor, as for the Bureau of the Treasury in our fidelity bonding operations, to determine who is an accountable officer, we refer to the requirement of the public bonding law or the definition of the public bonding law as to who is an accountable officer. Section 314 of the public bonding law states that every officer, agent, and employee of the government of the Philippines or of the companies or corporations, the majority of the stock of which is held by the national government shall, whenever the nature of the duties performed by such officer, agent, or employee permits or requires the custody of funds or property for which is accountable, be deemed a bondable officer. And except as otherwise provided, every such person shall be bonded or bondable and his fidelity insured in accordance with the public bonding law.
With your definition, Attorney, yung bang special disbursement officer ay isa sa mga accountable officers?
As per my knowledge, Your Honor, in the operations of the Bureau of the Treasury, special disbursing officers are one of the officials who are considered bondable because of the fact that they are in custody or in possession of public funds or property. However, admittedly, Your Honor, as far as the legal service of the Bureau of the Treasury is concerned, we often recommend a different evaluation criteria because special disbursing officers are generally only designated additional accountable functions on top of their core functions, which ordinarily does not involve public funds or property, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Attorney. My question was very simple. Ang tanong ko lang po kung ang mga designated special dispersing officers are also accountable officers pursuant to the definition that you have cited to us. Yes or no lang naman po?
Yes, Your Honor, considering that if they are granted or designated additional functions as special disbursing officers, the nature of the duties then would require custody of funds or property, Your Honor.
And therefore, Mr. Edward Farda is an accountable officer pursuant to that definition.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, ayon sa ating joint circular, an accountable officer is an officer of the government whose duties permit or require the possession or custody of government funds and property, and who shall be accountable therefore and for the safekeeping thereof in conformity with our laws and regulations. As clearly established by the discussion earlier, Mr. Edward Farda is indeed an accountable officer, not only by the fact of his position as SDO, but also by the fact of the confirmation of receipt of confidential funds for DepEd respectively in 2022 and 2023. Now, Attorney, you must be aware of Treasury Circular Number 1-2022 regarding supplemental guidelines on the revised omnibus regulations governing the fidelity bonding of accountable public officers being part of the Bureau of Treasury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, base po sa circular ng Treasury, ano po ang ibig sabihin ng bondable officer? Ito po ba ay nangangaluhugan na may bond na ipinopost para sa kanya?
Yes, Your Honor.
And ano po yung tawag po ninyo doon sa bond na binibigay ng bondable officer?
It is referred to by the Bureau of the Treasury as the fidelity bond, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Pwede po bang ipaliwanag niyo po sa amin, sa lahat na nandito, kung ano po ang ibig sabihin ng fidelity bond in layman's terms?
Your Honor, a fidelity bond or the posting of the fidelity bond is an assurance or the commitment of an accountable public officer that he will faithfully discharge and lawfully discharge his duties, particularly his accountable public duties, considering that the accountable public officer is in possession of public funds or property. It is a commitment, Your Honor, that the accountable public official will faithfully and lawfully discharge his or her duties.
Ano po ang purpose? Is that the last statement that you made? Yan po ba ang purpose ng fidelity bond?
Its purpose also, Your Honor, is for the accountable public official for his fidelity to be covered, Your Honor, to be covered by the Fidelity Fund.
Marami pong salamat. Now, bakit kailangan mag-post ng fidelity bond ang isang accountable officer katulad ni Mr. Farda?
Your Honor, because the reason being is that because the fidelity bond or a bondable officer is a bonded officer rather is covered by the Fidelity Fund, the Fidelity Fund maintained in the Bureau of the Treasury shall be available for the purpose of replacing defalcations, shortages, and unrelieved losses in their account, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ngayon, sa Bureau of Treasury, ano po ang ibig sabihin ng public fund?
Allow me to just refer to the
Please.
circular, Your Honor. So,
Please, Attorney.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor. I will quote item Q of the definition of terms under Treasury Circular 2-2019 as amended. Public funds shall refer to funds or public monies under the possession, custody, or control of an accountable officer by virtue of his or her official position or designation, which include public monies of every sort and other financial resources such as cash, instruments, representing or convertible to money, receivables, and the like pertaining to the government agency, Your Honor.
Doon pa tayo, Ben.
And pursuant to that definition that you have read, ang confidential funds ng DepEd ay kasama sa public funds under the possession, custody, or control of the special dispersing officer. In this case, Mr. Edward Farda.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ano po ang liability ng accountable officer katulad ni Mr. Farda sa ganitong sitwasyon?
Liability, Your Honor, in...
Yeah.
If I may...
Are they accountable sa mga losses dahil sa unlawful deposit, unlawful use, or application of public funds, unlawful application of public funds? Sila po ang accountable?
Yes, Your Honor. If there is unlawful disbursement, considering that the Administrative Code of 1987 states that every accountable officer shall be personally liable for the funds or property in his or her possession, Your Honor.
Liable din sila kahit attributable ang loss sa kanilang negligence sa paghawak po ng mga pondong ito.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Farda, having listened to the explanation of the representative of the Bureau of Treasury, are you aware of the magnitude of your accountability as Special Dispersing Officer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let me confirm. Salary grade 17 po kayo, tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And correct po ba yung aking record ng inyong monthly salary ay around 35,000 to 40,000? Mali po ba yun?
Your Honor, 41,000. Ganyan po malapit, hindi ko lang po alam yung exact figure.
So, malapit dito. Malapit dito sa numerong...
Mga 40 plus, 40 to 50.
Yeah. Kanina, napag-usapan natin with the Bureau of Treasury ang fidelity bond at ang purpose nito. Naintindihan mo naman siguro yung explanation ng representative ng Bureau of Treasury. Nung kayo po ba, Mr. Farda, to minimize the probability of theft or crimes in relation to the confidential funds na inyo pong hawak, ano po yung controls na inilagay po ninyo? Kayo po ba ay hiningan ng proof ng iyong income o properties?
Your Honor, ang tanong po niyo po ba yung as SDO, as an SDO?
Yeah, bilang SDO at may hawak po ng confidential funds, may nilagay po ba kayong controls sa paggamit po nito? Or hiningan po ba kayo o pinag-submit po ba kayo ng iyong income at saka list of properties?
Your Honor, nasa SALN po kasi yan. Meron po yung copy po sa DepEd. Nung nag-apply po ako, naghingi po sila ng SALN.
Hiningi po sa inyo ito at nag-submit naman po kayo?
Opo. Nung nag-apply po ako sa DepEd.
Okay. Now, to the Bureau of Treasury, yung bond fidelity is required when you hold public funds. Tama po?
Yes, Your Honor.
At ang purpose ng fidelity bond ay to ensure against losses, shortages, and defalcation by officers or employees accountable for public funds. Tama rin po.
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, ito pong mga nakalagay dito ay to ensure na gagamitin po ng tama and for the specified purpose ang public funds. Tama po ba? dahil kung hindi po ginamit doon for what is intended for, you are violating the law. Would you agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, would you also agree with me that the fidelity bond should be equal to the amount of public funds that you would hold, being a special disbursing officer? Would that be correct?
Wait. I do agree, Your Honor. But that is...
Hindi ko po tinatanong kung nag-agree po kayo. Tama rin po ba according to your rules?
As for the Bureau of the Treasury's rules, Your Honor, admittedly, the coverage of the bond is not equal to the amount of the accountability disclosed. That is the present policy or the existing policy of the Bureau of the Treasury, Your Honor.
Now, may I know the reason why pumayag o nag-agree po kayo sa aking contention? Kasi importante po ito dahil pwedeng baguhin natin yung naandun sa Bureau of Treasury.
Let me preface my answer, Your Honor, by saying that this is just my personal opinion as part of the legal service, and this does not preempt a forthcoming position of the Bureau. But I do agree with the sentiment, Your Honor, because it has the features of an insurance. So therefore, in order for it to fully insure, you could say the fidelity, losses should be reimbursed by said insurance. But then again, Your Honor, that is just my personal opinion, and this does not preempt any forthcoming official position of the Bureau, because really the reason why there is a minimization or limit on the bond coverage is to reduce moral hazards, Your Honor, and the fact that there are fiscal implications because presently the Fidelity Fund are with the Bureau of the Treasury, so to reimburse it fully would have fiscal implications, Your Honor.
Kasi, would you agree also na kung sobra naman ang liit ng bond, then wala na pong incentive to use the trusted public fund properly. Will you also agree with that, Attorney?
I would agree with that, Your Honor.
Thank you.